Hello, it's Sara Southerland. I am a spiritual life coach, women's mentor, and sound healing practitioner, and I'm so glad you're here. Hello, loves, and welcome back. If you have been thinking about creating your own women's circle, then this video is for you. I have had the pleasure of holding sacred women's circles for the last many years, and it's been actually absolutely incredible to witness the power and the transformative nature of being in sacred space with other women. I think that being in circle itself is a technology that's so needed in this time. And sacred women's circles provide a really intentional space to gather that's very different than a traditional social gathering. It is a space where we can be seen and deeply heard. It is a place where we can unwind from old stories together and rise together. I actually have a past video that goes into what it's like to experience the potency of a women's circle. You'll get a peek into a women's circle that I hosted and hear from some of the women. I'll link it here. There is so much power in gathering in circle, and I believe that coming together in this way is revolutionary. It's healing, and it's needed now more than ever. When I first started leading women's circles, I knew in my bones that this was a calling. But I also had to learn how to hold space in a way that was brave, transformative, and sustainable. That's why I created Woven, a sacred women's circle facilitator training, so you don't have to figure it out alone, and you can create your own women's circles that are both beautiful and transformative. I'll share more about it later, but if you're feeling the call to lead, stay with me and I'll share more at the end. So where to start when creating your own women's circle? The first step, I always say, is clarifying your vision. Because women's circles are a different kind of space, because it is so important that they are held with intention, spending time for this foundational step of clarifying what your vision is, what's important to you, the energy of the space, who it's for, is so key. And so the first step is getting clear about what kind of circle you're creating. Is it spiritual? Is it creative? Is it seasonal? Is it support-based? What is your circle for? What do you want people to experience in the circle? And how do you want them to leave feeling? Then getting clear about who it is for. Is it for feminine leaders? Is it for mothers? Is it for those just starting their spiritual journey? Maybe for those on some sort of specific healing path. So just getting clear about who your circle is for. And then really taking some time to get clear on the deeper intention. Is your circle for connection, healing, transformation, ritual, visioning? A beautiful journal prompt to explore could be, what kind of space would feel most nourishing for me to lead? Or how do I want people to feel in the space that I hold? And just seeing what comes through. Step 2 is choosing the format and the logistics of your circle. So these are things like, would you like to hold your circle online or in person? There's beauty to both. You can mix it up, but what feels aligned as you begin? What is the frequency? Do you want to meet monthly, seasonally, or more frequently? Another thing to think about is the group size. I have a lot of thoughts about this, but in general, I love to hold a circle that has 8 to 10 women. I find it's a size where each woman can be heard and seen and witnessed in a way that it doesn't take like an hour to go around the full circle for everyone to share. But I've also been a part of circles that have maybe like 12 to 15 or even up to 20 that can be beautiful too, but maybe facilitated in a different way. So just getting clear on your group size based on your intention. Then your location. If you are going to hold an in-person circle, do you want to host it in your home? Do you want to rent out a studio or a different location? Maybe have it in nature if it's nice out. And then you want to think about the energy exchange. It can be a beautiful way to start circle with some sort of donation-based or sliding scale offering just to start to bring people in. Or you can offer a paid circle. And sometimes paid circles can be really beautiful because there's this sacred exchange. When people are willing to say, yes, I will invest in myself, they show up in a different way. So really, no matter what you choose in terms of the format and logistics, start with what feels easy and what feels sustainable for you. Next, you'll want to plan the structure of your circle. And this can look different for every circle, but I find that there's 5 key components to structuring your circle that are elements that you'll almost always include. So the first one is opening the container, opening this field of circle. And so as everyone lands and sits in the space, having some way to what I call like drop the group in, whether that's lighting a candle, naming an intention, leading a meditation, but just a way to kind of help the group land and maybe call in support from guides, ancestors. So opening the container is going to be an important part of every circle. The next piece is setting your circle agreements. And I could spend many, many videos talking about this. This to me is one of the most important parts of circle because this is what makes circle a really potent technology and field and space that we're holding together rather than just a social gathering. So the agreements can be all sorts of things, but some that I really stick to are things like we honor where each one is on the path with no judgment. Or we leave dogma at the door and honor all belief systems rooted in unity and love. Another important one is making sure that we agree to keep anything that's shared in circle safe and private in that space. And another one that I'll share, there's many, but is allowing ourselves to listen to hear rather than listen to respond. So as each woman shares in circle, I always invite an agreement that we're not going to respond. We're going to allow her to share, to have her space. There's no need to give her advice to fix. And this is one of the things that makes circle so powerful. There's not many spaces like this. So circle agreements. The third is bringing in practices. So this can be anything from meditation, movement, journaling, different practices like breath work, sound healing, ritual, but choosing some practices, some activities, some sacred rituals that align with your gifts to bring in the circle. The fourth is time to share. Circles are all about sharing, and I always leave at least a third to half of the time of any circle I'm planning for sharing. And this is just a time where each woman can share vulnerably and openly from her heart and be heard and witnessed. And I like to mix up kind of pair shares, pairing off or getting in small groups and then sharing in the full group to have a variety of more intimate conversations and then more with the full group. And then the last one is the closing. So with every circle, we're opening and we're closing this space. So some way to mark the closing of this moment. Maybe it's a closing circle and then a ritual. Perhaps it is a time to just say thank you, to ground into our bodies before we leave and move and go back into the world. So setting and creating the time to really plan your circle with these 5 kind of elements can be really key to a successful circle. So step 4 in holding your own circles is cultivating your facilitator energy. And this can take practice. It takes practice to embody the priestess within and how we facilitate so that we can lead with presence, with trust, and with humility. And so this can look like holding space without fixing, letting people have their own experience. In fact, the role of a facilitator I've found is both an anchor and also a mirror. We as facilitators are here to anchor the group and in this grounding and clarity and safety, but also mirrors that can reflect back each woman's innate wisdom back to her. At the heart of circles, it is not about fixing or solving. It is about allowing. And this is actually something we go very deep into in Woven. It's about honoring the layers of each woman's being and meeting them with compassion while nurturing the courage that it takes to show up authentically in circle and in sisterhood. Another key in holding a sacred space and circle is knowing how to navigate group dynamics and how to address challenges with ease. Now, in any group, at any situation, challenges can arise. And so one of the things that I recommend is resourcing yourself for ways that you are going to approach challenges when they do arise. So just as an example, let's say someone is taking up too much space in circle, having some kind of predetermined ways that you can lovingly guide them back into circle, into the group. Perhaps someone is offering another woman in the circle advice that feels offensive or hurtful, lovingly reminding her of the agreements that we set. Or maybe someone's just going through a really hard time or challenge. And I always like to remember that their challenge isn't the same as a challenge. People are allowed to have challenging experiences, and it's not up to us to, again, fix or to solve. But there's so much power that can happen when we see them and witness people in their challenging moments that can bring this field of circle and move us forward in this way that feels really permission giving for everyone there. And then the last piece I'll speak to with holding your facilitator energy is staying resourced. You, as the space holder and the circle facilitator, need to have your own grounding practices, both before and after circle, but also throughout your life. It's important for us when we are holding space to be, our lives aren't going to be perfect all of the time, of course, but to be in alignment, to be in integrity. And that means showing up for our own work, to have a clear intention for the circle, to honor our energy, not just before and after circle, but throughout our lives, listen to our bodies, model the things that we're teaching. And also doing some work and clearing the space, creating a beautiful space both before and after circle are really important for ourselves and our circle that we're holding. So this is one of the most important pieces that we dive into inside Woven, because being a space holder isn't just about creating a beautiful circle. It is about holding the depth and the emotion and the transformation that arises. And step 5 for creating your own sacred women's circles is inviting people in with intention. Calling the right people energetically and practically into your circle is important. And so again, thinking back to your foundations and your intention, think about the journey that you want to take people on, or the women to go on in your circle, and think about where they might be in their own path. Then from there, you can invite them into the medicine that you're here to share so that they know a little bit about what to expect and the journey that they'll go on. I think it's important to be honest about what the circle is and what it isn't, so people can know if it resonates for them. And then craft and write an invitation that speaks to the soul, that's clear, that's warm, that's specific, and just says, hey, here's this circle and here's this journey that I want to hold. Would you like to join me? So as you prepare to start your own women's circles, just remember that you don't have to have it all figured out, that you just need the courage to start. And so with that vein, I invite you just to do one thing to get started. Perhaps it's journaling your vision or your intention. Maybe it is planning a small, simple gathering to start. And if you're ready to go deeper and you want to feel really supported, I invite you to join me for Woven, Sacred Women's Circle Facilitator Training. In Woven, I'll teach you everything that you need to know to hold circles with confidence and grace, from holding and creating powerful rituals to navigating group dynamics and really building a sustainable, soul-led circle. You don't have to do this alone. We were never meant to do it alone. And you'll leave feeling clear and aligned to start your own women's circles. And I'm offering $200 off Woven to my YouTube subscribers. So you can learn more through the link in this video. Check it out and let me know if you have any questions. Just reach out. If this video resonated, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with someone you think would love to lead their own women's circle. The world needs more of these spaces. Thanks so much for being here, for watching. Sending you so much love. See you soon.